Hi, welcome to Fork in the Loaf. In going along the lines of my food storage that I like to work with and talk about, I'm gonna be talking today about one of my favorite food storage items. I love oats. I love all the different kinds of oats. And I'll show you some of the things that I like to do with them, kind of give you some ideas. I have here, I buy in bulk. As much as I can, I try to buy in bulk. So this is I want to say it's a 25-pound bag of oat groats, but it could be a 50. I think it's a 25-pound bag of oat groats. I don't know if you've ever heard of oat groats before, but oat groats are in their whole form. So they're the grain. Oat groats are the grain in whole form. They've not been steamed. They haven't been pressed flat. They haven't been broken. They're just the whole oat groat. And I love these to, you can cook these kind of like you would rice. Takes a little bit longer than rice, but you can cook them kind of like you would rice. The Instant Pot works great for making oat groats. So that is one way that I like to do my oats. And I like these really more savory. Another favorite is steel cut oats. And this I also buy in bulk. I did not have the room to seal them in jars when I got them. So I just put them in plastic and then I put them in here. And the steel cut oats really works good if you're gonna add them to a bread. Like I will cook them like a hot cereal and I'll let them cool and then I'll add some to breads, or I will add them to some of the breakfast cookies that I make with oats, and I kind of love that extra chew in there. That's me. The most common, rolled oats. I keep this in a sealed jar so that it doesn't go rancid as fast. And this is good for everything. You can use cookies, anything that you want to bake, like an oatmeal bake, oatmeal cookies. You can use it in your breads without cooking them first. You can top things with it. Your apple crisp. I use this a lot for apple crisp. I do oatmeal bakes. What else do I do with this? I'll eat it as a hot oatmeal sometimes, or as an overnight oats. I'm not as big of a fan of the overnight oats as I am of a savory or a hot oatmeal. I don't like a lot of sweet, and a lot of times your overnight oats are on the sweet side. And then last but not least, I have a little bit of quick oats. I have a few number 10 cans of them. And I love the number 10 can because it lasts for years and years and years and years. It's sealed. It's got an oxygen absorber in there. And it lasts forever. So the storage life of this is estimated to be 30 years when stored at 75 degrees Fahrenheit or below. So this will last me for ever. Like I will have this used before that 30 years is possibly over with. And this, I like to use overnight oats. This is better, I think, because it absorbs just a little bit better than the rolled oats. But I'm good with I just, for the longest time, only did rolled oats. I'm not a big fan of the Scottish oats because I think they get a little too mushy for me, and I have a tendency to like them a little bit more on that chewier side. This works really good in one of the recipes I want to show you today. But instead of opening, well, I could open this. I'm going to open this can because I want to make oatmeal breakfast cookies, which is one of my favorite ways to use my oats, especially these ones. These make a really good texture for the breakfast cookies. This jar right here, I'm going to put some oat groats in because I don't have a jar filled. I like how big this mouth is for measuring purposes. Now, I know you can get oat groats at a feed store. I've never gone that route. I don't know if they're packaged differently. I've heard of some people going through buying them at a feed store versus buying them from a food store. I don't know if maybe just you need to clean them better. I don't know. I just have bought them food safe, food quality. I don't know if it's from a different part of the factory or a different part of the grain storage that you get your human food versus your animal food. So I just always get the human groats because I know that they're safe. I know animals can sometimes be fed things that you would never feed an adult or a person or a child or anything like that. So there's my oat groats. I'm going to grab a little marker. I want to show you a trick that when you're factoring your food storage for your family, the hardest part to know is how much do you need for your family to survive for a year, because I usually work around a 1 year storage. I have maybe a little bit more than a year in some things. But to factor in how much you use as a family, I go and put the date that I opened the product. So like today I opened this, and today is October, what day is today? October 20th? Today's October 21st. So on my package, I'm gonna write October 21, 2022. And then I'm not gonna get rid of this package until I fill up a jar for the last time with this stuff. And then I'm gonna factor in the timing. Like say if I'm done with this in November, which is not real. I could never be done with that many oats in a month. But let's just say it's done next month. Then I know I'm gonna need 12 of these to last me the year. Let's say it lasts me until April. Then I know I'm gonna need 2 of these to last me a year for my family. So that's how I factor a lot of what I need, how much I need to last me a year. Toilet paper, we get the big containers of toilet paper, and when we open that big package, I'll put the date that I opened it. And that way when we go to factor in and adjust, and mind you, our family's adjusted a lot. We had 2 of our daughters get married. We had 1 daughter who moved out and ended up moving back home. And we have 2 younger girls that are only with us during the summertime. So our family's a little bit different, like it fluctuates big time. And so what we do is we kind of figure out what we needed. Okay, so last year, maybe 2 years, because we just got, so the last time we went through this and checked how much toilet paper we needed, I'm going to use toilet paper for instance, because I know we've just recently been thinking about this one and been working on this one. I know we were going through about 6 of the Costco size packages every year. And that was, we've got 5 girls and 2 of them just got married off last year. So, and 2 of them will only be here for the summertime. So I know that over a year ago, we were going through about 6 packages a year. Well, now we are down to 1 girl at home, my mother and my husband and I. 6 packages of toilet paper is going to be a lot. We have to refactor that, and that's what we're working on right now with that. In the meantime, we have 5 packages downstairs that we have been working on just to see where we're going to end up in a year. And I think that's really important when you're factoring your food storage, that you figure out how much your family needs for that set amount of time. When it comes to the oatmeal, I have overkill. I probably have enough oats to last, if we ate oatmeal every single day, we have enough to last us probably a year and a half. But that's a lot of that 2-step, you know, that's another really hard thing. I'm going off on tangents here. Diet. Like when I was doing when I was doing the keto diet, I didn't touch oats. They were not a part of my everyday diet. And so for me, keto was really not sustainable because it didn't work with my food storage, because you're supposed to store what you eat what you store. And it didn't work with, well, it didn't work for me in a lot of things. My numbers went crazy. It was not good. So I have been working now more towards a Mediterranean style, trying to do something that's sustainable, works with my food storage, and works better with my health. And so grains are, fiber is supposed to be something that's really important. I know oats are loaded with a fiber that your body doesn't absorb. It's a non-soluble fiber, I think is what they call it, but it feeds your prebiotics. So it feeds your gut flora to eat certain certain fibers that your body doesn't digest. Oats are loaded with that. They're also high in protein, and I can't remember all the stuff, but I love them and I use them a lot. I want to show you one of my favorite ways to work with quick oats. And I use quick oats for this. I'm gonna do a breakfast cookie. I love them. I love them because they're convenient. I love them because there's no added sugar to them. I love them because I feel like we're getting nutritional value when we eat them, and they're yummy. So I like to use quick oats for them. I have used rolled oats. They work with rolled oats. They would not work with steel cut oats or groats. Oat groats and steel cut oats, I have put cooked oat groats in them, where I just kind of added some to it because I had some left over that needed to get used, so I just added them to my cookies. I loved the little pops of chewy in there. Not something that has to happen though. I'm not going to go out of my way and bake some or make some of these so that I can have them in my cookie. Right now I'm just going to show you how I do it. The one that seems the least versatile to me is steel cut. I don't, maybe it's just because I haven't found more ways to use it, but the only way that I've really used steel cut oats is as a hot cereal. And I have put the leftovers in like a baked good because I just had a little bit left. And again, you get that chewiness to it. But I don't use these as much. I love them. I love the chewiness of them for the breakfast cereal, but that's about all to me, these just don't seem as versatile. And I'll do these savory more often than sweet. I just want to show you the difference between a quick oat and a rolled oat. Like the rolled oats are kind of bigger, flatter rolled oats, and the quick is kind of more mushed up, more broken down. The formula that I've found for this is for every banana, you're going to use 1 cup of oats and you're going to use 1 egg. So I have 4 bananas here. So this was, oh goodness, my mom just told me, I think it was my great grandpa's mom's from Sweden. And I kind of love this thing. I use it all the time. How come these aren't still in existence? And if they are, where can I get another one? Not that I need another one. This thing is, I think, the forever tool. I have 4 eggs that I cleaned, and you guys, look at the difference between my white eggs and my brown eggs. These are ginormous. So I don't want to use 4 of these. I mean, these are a good normal large size. Mix that in. So at this point is usually when I'll add things like, I'm going to add probably about 1/4 cup, like maybe about a tablespoon per egg, per banana, per cup of oats. I'm going to add a tablespoon of sour cream or yogurt. I did yogurt last time, and I used a honey vanilla yogurt, and it was fabulous. You don't want to get too much, so I'm thinking a tablespoon per each is a perfect, what's that called? 1 tablespoon of sour cream or yogurt per banana in the formula is perfect. Now, I have done this with like 6 bananas, 8 bananas, and I think my very favorite is when I have about 4 bananas. And I'm going to use a whole teaspoon of cinnamon, so it's about 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon per banana. And I'm going to use a teaspoon of baking soda. Again, about 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda per banana. Vanilla. I don't measure vanilla because I will put in whatever looks right. So I like a little extra vanilla. And salt. I would not go a full teaspoon of salt. You could. It wouldn't hurt, I don't think. It would just kind of make it a little more towards the salty. I'm just going to put a half a teaspoon of salt in there. Maybe figure a quarter of a teaspoon per 2 bananas. For every banana, I'm adding 1 cup of oats. So I have 4 bananas in there. I have 4 eggs in there. I'm going to put 4 cups of oats. Here's that oxygen absorber packet that I was telling you about. You're going to want to put it back in there. Okay, we're going to make sure that's all mixed in. Okay, once I get all my oats mixed in here, I have my, let's see if I can quit saying I have my stove preheating at 350 degrees. I have no idea what that is Celsius. I have no idea. I don't know Celsius at all. But I think you can Google it. Hey Google, what is 350 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius?
350 degrees Fahrenheit is 176.667 degrees Celsius.
There you go. Okay, so I got it all mixed in. I'm not making bread, so I don't have to knead anything. I'm not trying to extract glutens. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. It is a little bit wet and runny, and that is okay. It's not like chocolate chip cookies. Some of the stuff that I like to add, I have put raisins in it. And I love oatmeal raisin cookies. I have put these sugar-free chocolate chips in it, and I love these sugar-free chocolate chips. But I was thinking today I wanted to add some caramel bits because they're caramel bits with some normal chocolate chips. That's like have a little healthy with your little bit of not so healthy. They're not super healthy, but oh my, do they taste good, especially in something like this. You could do an apple pie, like put in some apples and put in some caramel bits. Oh my gosh. You'd almost think I was doing a commercial for caramel bits because I love these things. So I'm going to add some caramel bits and chocolate chips to this batch. I've done butterscotch chips. That's pretty good. I've done some of my pumpkin powder, and then I would put pumpkin spice in it as well. Oh man, that was yummy. And then I've also done an almond flavoring with the chocolate chips. That was amazing. Today I just want to do vanilla with caramel bits and chocolate chips. And you don't need a ton. I know this is a big batch, but again, we're not here trying to overdo it. So I've got probably about 3/4 of a cup of the caramel bits. And I'm going to do about 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips. 3/4 of a cup. That's probably pretty close. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is definitely not keto. This isn't even whole food. If I were to put the raisins in here instead of the chocolate chips, but I really feel like, I'm already not adding any extra added sugar. I'm not adding, a whole lot of yuckiness to it. It's gluten-free. It's definitely not vegan. It's got eggs in it. I mean, I don't know if you could try a different way to do that. You could probably call it vegetarian, right? I think vegetarians eat eggs, right? Okay, that's good. Give it a good thorough mix so everything is incorporated. So I have my cookie sheet and I have it lined with parchment, and this is a 1/4 cup scoop. And I go, and I'm okay if I get a little bit more than a 1/4 cup. These do not spread far. They don't, they're not like a cookie that spreads out. So, and they won't flatten. And so I put them fairly close. I don't I don't try and leave them a whole lot of extra room. I try to get as much on here as I can. Because I know they're not going very far. And then once I get them all on here, I take my hand and I just kind of pat them down to where they're square. Or not square, flattened a little bit. Oh. And like if this one I kind of wanted to push a little bit more that way, so I flattened it that way. This one, I'm just gonna flatten. And I keep them thick, I don't want them too thin. If they do end up connecting in cooking, I don't think that's too awful. I can easily separate them. They're not gonna like form into each other like some chocolate chip cookies or sugar cookies could. And now I'm gonna cook them at 350 degrees, which was at 177 degrees Celsius. And I'm gonna put this in for 15 minutes. I really feel like, you know, if you put the right ingredients in here and maybe don't mess up with the sugary chocolate chips, maybe use the raisins instead, or, you know, like the dried cherries, you could put nuts in here. I mean, you could really make this a lot more versatile. You could use this for grab and go snacks. You can use it for breakfast, like when you're running out the door in the morning to go to school, grab a cookie for breakfast and you're good. And it's a nice treat. It really is. It's like if you're trying to cut sugars, the refined sugars, don't put the chocolate chips and the caramels in there, and just have the cookie with a raisin in it, or with, if you don't like raisins, you know, if you don't like banana, I've done this with canned pears. I've done this with pumpkin. Instead of using bananas, I've used applesauce. So you're basically using your fruit in place of your sugar or your oil. Really, it kind of covers both. I need to interject here. So I was editing my video and realized that I somehow didn't capture the granola, putting the granola together. I showed you the baking. So I'm doing a granola next. And in this granola, it's a super basic, super simple, do it yourself, using your pantry staple items, using your food storage, and just taking a few minutes to cook it. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to cook it, but it only takes like 5 minutes to put it together. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's simple. There's no refined sugars in it. There's no, nothing that is in it that's not good for you or that doesn't have some sort of nutritional value. So let me point you down. All right, so to make my granola, I'm going to use the rolled oats, the old-fashioned rolled oats. I know old-fashioned rolled oats have a tendency to be, they're thicker. I really like these ones. I don't think are old-fashioned. I think they're just rolled oats. The old-fashioned ones are a little bit thicker and have a tendency to have a little bit more brown, the brown kernel on them, or the brown husk, whatever that outside's, the hull. So I'm going to do 3 cups of oats, and it doesn't have to be exact. It's not, you don't even have to weigh. I mean, you can guesstimate 3 cups. Because you're going to notice a lot of how this looks by how it looks as well. And I got a cup of rough chopped pecans. Make sure they're not pre-cooked. These are raw. If you get them pre-cooked, they'll burn. You can put them in afterwards. Like, you know those pralines? I've seen like the pecan pralines that you can get. Put those in after you've cooked them. After you've cooked the granola. I'm going to put in a cup of coconut, shredded coconut. Use unsweetened so you don't have that added sugar in there. I put salt in, and I kind of like salt in it's Himalayan pink salt. I like it to have, I like when you bite down into it that you get almost that sweet saltiness. I'm going to put in some vanilla, and again, I don't measure my vanilla. I just put it in until it looks right. I'm going to add probably about a half a cup of the maple syrup, and I'm eyeballing a half a cup. And then here I have around a quarter of a cup of melted coconut oil. I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to start mixing. I forgot to grab the cinnamon. For the cinnamon, I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons. I like it to have that cinnamon flavor. Another thing that's really good to put in here is almond flavoring. That's really good in here. If you want to add chocolate chips, you're not going to put those in. You won't put raisins in or any of the dried fruit until after you're done cooking the granola, the base. The raisins and the dried fruit will burn. The chocolate will melt and burn. If you wanted to melt the chocolate and to make it a chocolate flavored granola, then you would cook it in towards the end. I would probably do the first 10-15 minutes. I can't remember how I did that. I used to do a chocolate granola all the time. I want to say I put it in, I let the chocolate melt, I stir it up, let the chocolate melt, stir it up, and then it kind of gets this dryness to it that's fabulous. That's it. 5 minutes. Like not even 5 minutes, I don't think. And now I'm going to take this and put it on a parchment lined cookie sheet, and I will get back to the other video from here. Alright, so I'm just dumping my granola onto a parchment lined baking sheet. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to pat it out. There are so many variations you can do with granola. This is one, it's timeless to me. It's like no matter what, we like this one. I've tried adding pepitas. My family didn't care for it with the pepitas or sunflower seeds in it. That was not something they enjoyed. They really just like this plain old basic granola, and as easy and simple it is as it is to make. And I've got all the ingredients on hand. They're all pantry items. So this to me is like a win-win. There's no refined sugars. There's no preservatives. There's just basic ingredients. I'm not sure. I think when I come back to that other video, I am just starting after the first bake. So I will see you back at the other video. Okay, so my first 15 minutes are done. So I'm just going to go through and I want to kind of, really what the point is to get those corners and the sides in so they don't get too dark. And I'm just going to flatten this back out and send it back to the oven. I keep wanting to say the refrigerator, and that won't do us any good. Okay, I'm going to put this in for 10 more minutes. All right, so the last 10 minutes are done, and I don't know if the camera even shows you how beautiful golden this gets. But that's it. I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to stir this a little bit and make a mess. Careful, that's really hot. Okay, I'll let that sit here until it cools off. That is another way I like to use my oats. Okay, so we're all cooled off. The last thing I need to do is get this all into a jar. You want to put today's date on it. It's still, I feel a little bit warm still, like it's slightly warm still. But I'm going to put October 21, 22 on here. That isn't quite what I wanted. Comma 2022. Just want to know when it was made. It'll last quite some time if it's in an airtight container. Don't get it wet. Don't keep it in the sun. You know, all that fun storage stuff. You just want to keep it in a cool, dark place. Like in a cupboard is perfect. And then it'll last you quite some time without going rancid or gross. This will be gone. I probably have to make another batch probably within the next month or two. We don't eat a ton of it, but enough where I do have to make it fairly regularly. So the next thing that I want to make is oat groats. And this is going to take me more than just today, because I like to soak them, like I said. It's almost dinner time. And so I'm going to take my jar of oat groats. And for my oat groats, I know that you want to do 1 part groats to 3 parts water. So I'm going to do a week's worth of oat groats and just get it prepped now. And if there's anything left over and I go to make another batch of those cookies, I'll throw what's left over in the cookies. I don't season them. I just do groats in water. So I'm going to go rinse them real quick. So I got 1 cup of rinsed groats in here, and they're strained. And I am going to put in 2 cups of water. Now some people say to do 1 parts groats to 3 parts water, but I don't really like them soggy, mushy, over like that. And with them soaking all night, I have them on high, and then I have this timer here that I have set, and like right now is 3:45, so that's perfect. So the time says what time it is right now, and then the time that we have set. But yeah, that's it. The time that we have set here, it'll be done by 6 a.m. So it starts at 3:30 and ends at 6. And so I'll plug this in and I'll turn it to timer. And then that will be, I just have it in it in the corner. So I'll plug this in and it'll be ready to go. So by morning, when I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, these will be ready to do whatever I want with them. I do add a little dollop of butter, which helps keep it from bubbling over and making that big foamy mess all over the place. That's just how I prepped the oat groats, and tomorrow morning I will show you what I do with the oat groats, and then that will conclude this video. So I will see you in the morning. Good morning. So today, this is my oat groats that I cooked last night. It's about an hour later, so they're cooled off just a little bit. They're still hot. And I like them dry like this because I like to add stuff to it, and I don't like to eat it like a soup. I like to eat it like I don't know, I guess like rice. Just gonna fluff them up a little. Let's take a look at how they look. Let's see if I can get this up close for you. I love all the chewy goodness on those. Hope you can see that. I'm just gonna take this, what I feel like I can eat. And then I will put just a little bit more than that, I think. I'm gonna put this in something that I can access throughout the rest of the week if I want to have more of it. Don't forget to date it and say what it is. Oat groats. I think today's the 22nd. And then I'll stick that in the fridge. And I have something ready for breakfast, or to add to a salad, or to add to something that I need to eat throughout the rest of the week. That is from my pantry, has nutritional value to it. So for this, for my savory breakfast, I'm going to add some arugula because I love arugula. And you could chop it up if you don't like it big like this, but it'll wilt a little bit underneath the heat of everything you're putting in here. You could totally put other veggies in here. You could put really whatever you want. For savory, I personally have a tendency to like that Asian. It reminds me of rice. It has a slightly different flavor than rice. But I like to put egg. I like to put a little sesame oil, a little coconut aminos, and then some sesame seeds, and that would be beautiful breakfast. So I got my fried egg, and I kind of steamed it. I like it where the whites are cooked and the yellows are runny. And then I usually just drizzle a little bit of sesame oil, and this is a toasted, Japanese toasted. It really doesn't matter to me which sesame oil. I just love sesame oil. You don't need a lot. Very little bit goes a long ways. I have a little bit of coconut aminos. I will drizzle some of this on here. And then I buy my black and white sesame seeds, and then I'm sorry, it's fogging up. I toast them myself, and then I keep them in the refrigerator. And that is one of my favorite ways to eat oat groats. Oatmeal, unless you're keto or you're allergic, I don't know if I've ever heard of an allergy to oats. I'm sure it exists. Oatmeal is one of those versatile powerhouses to have in your food storage. There's lots of things you can do with it. From breakfast, lunch, I mean, I would eat that for dinner happily. So definitely something I store in multiple different ways because I like them multiple different ways. To figure out how much we use of it all, I use that system that I mark the date that I open it. I see how long it's gonna last, and then I see if it's something that we can, like, if I need, like the oat groats, I'm betting that's enough for us for a year. I might need 2 bags, but I don't know yet. I have never bought it in bulk like that. That is something that I found probably 4 or 5 years ago. It's something I've dabbled in here and there, but just recently, probably in this past year, maybe 2 years, I've been really dabbling more and more into it and eating it more and more often. And as I eat it more and more often, I realize it's something we need to have in our food storage. So I need to factor that in and figure out how much am I going to use in a year. Rolled oats, I have a case. Actually, I think it's Quick Oats because I don't think they had rolled oats when I bought it from our church storehouse. I could leave the link below, but they're really good prices. They're sealed in those number 10 cans like my Quick Oats, and they last for about 30 years. The Quick Oats and the rolled oats, that's how I often get them. I've also gotten at our church website, you can also get a 5-gallon bucket of, is it 20? I want to say I got a 5-gallon bucket from them of oats. I'm trying to remember if it was somewhere else that I got it. I've also, let's see, where have I gotten? That's usually where I get my grains from. Or I go to Winco and I'll get them from there because they'll have gluten-free, not that I'm gluten-free, but they'll have organic oats. I probably should be gluten-free, but I do sourdough gluten. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you. If you're starting if you eat oatmeal every day, it's something you're going to want to factor in for every day. If it's something you only eat once in a while, factor it in for only once in a while. Figure out how much you and your family are going to eat, and factor in how much you'll need to last you for the year. You can start small too. With the oat groats, I started small because I wasn't sure it was something we were going to eat on a regular basis. So I started with small amounts, and I built my way up to where, okay, I'm eating these enough, I should have a year's supply of them. So that is my story on oats. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of a fork and a loaf. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you like this video. Give me a thumbs up and tell all your friends. Thanks for joining me.